501c3 nonprofit. We're right outside the gates of Fort Belvoir. If you come on Richmond Highway and you crest that hill heading north and you look to the right, you see a farm. That's our farm. So Arcadia is dedicated to creating a more equitable and sustainable food system, which means that we are growing food. We are growing farmers, which is what I'm here to talk to you about today. We are building demand for that food, good quality, local, wholesome food, by mostly through children's programs on the farm. We do field trips and farm camps. We have a 37.5% increase in the number of children who like beets after they leave. And then finally, we leapfrog the barriers to access of food. So the first is that about 1% of Americans serve in uniform. About 1% of Americans are farmers. So you're in a very elite class to begin with. Farming is entrepreneurial. It changes every single day. It is really very much a lifestyle. It is a calling. It is a passion for people. It is meaningful work where you get to call your own shots and where you are working outside. Your every day is different. You're overcoming crises on an everyday basis. And these are all things that people who have been in the military excel at in a way that civilians don't necessarily. Not to say that I have great farmers who are civilians, and they're amazing, but you guys just come at this. If you want to do it, you come at this with a set of skills that other people don't have. You are preternaturally capable of this work. When we started our program, we were interviewing some veterans who wanted to come and work on our farm, and a conversation that one of my farmers, who was a civilian, had with this guy who was applying to us was, this work is hard. It is physically really demanding. She said, today it's 100 degrees outside, it's 95% humidity. I've been out here since before the sun is up. I'll be out here until the sun is down. I can't stop until I have harvested everything in the field today, or it's going to go bad. And she said, do you think you can handle that workload? And he said, ma'am, I was in Fallujah. It was 135 degrees. I was working 18-hour days, and people were trying to kill me while I was wearing 100 pounds of gear. So I think I could manage your harvest. And so we stopped asking that question. I sort of saw it coming down the pike as she was saying it, but I figured it's better for her to learn that. So we stopped asking that question. So there's just no question that veterans, people in uniform, are more than capable of this work in a way that any other sector of American society is simply not. The nation needs 700,000 new farmers over the next 20 years. There are 700,000 farmers who are aging out of the profession. The American farmer's average age is now 60. Only, I think, 6% of American farmers are under the age of 35. So the military is producing about 200,000 veterans every year. If we can divert about 30,000 of them over the next 20 years, we can take care of that 700,000 farmer gap that is coming. If you all enjoy eating, you might want to think about farming, because we really need you. So farming, though, it can be really difficult to get into. If you didn't grow up on a farm, if you don't have land, if you didn't go to a land-grant university. So we created a program. When I started with Arcadia in 2013, my second in command, my ops director, he had worked at another farm nonprofit and they were training people to be farmers, and one of them was a military veteran, and he was like, that guy was the one that I thought was the only one that was actually going to be successful at this work. And so he had that in his head. And then one of my volunteers, who was actually a volunteer beekeeper, he had been to West Point, and he really wanted to be a farmer, and he'd been turned down from a couple of farm internship programs because he didn't have any experience at all. So he came to me as soon as I started and was like, you guys have got to start a farmer training program. So between the three of us, we cooked this thing up. The USDA is now, USDA backed it. We're completing our third full year of training. We put 48 people through the training program, and we have 22 working farmers now, people who are owning their own land or leasing land or working for other farmers. This is an incredible conversion rate, and it speaks to the quality of our program for sure, but more to the quality of people who are finding us. We are not talking anybody into being farmers who don't want to be farmers. This is, as I said, a calling. So we have three sort of training tracks, and the first one is a veteran farm fellowship. This is an on-farm job paid very poorly, but it is VA approved on-the-job training program. So you can pull, if you have GI Bill benefits left, you can pull base housing allowance on it for the year that you work with us, which in this region is pretty generous. It's something like $2,400 a month tax-free for the first 6 months, and then it goes down to about $1,800 a month. And then we pay like $11 an hour for the work, which is good pay for a farmer in the region, especially one who doesn't have any experience. So this is our first one. So this is great for people who know that they want to be a farmer and just want to really figure it all out. They will work side by side. It's sort of like left seat, right seat training. They'll work side by side with our farmer in the field. We have 2 fellows every year, and they will work in the greenhouse, they will plant, they will harvest, they will irrigate, they will troubleshoot pests, they will build things, they will fix things, and they will understand what it really is to be a vegetable farmer. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because even in hydroponics, there are seeds and there is a growing medium, and it's a different way of growing. But in order to, I think, farm hydroponically, I think you want to come at it with a full understanding of what it is to grow food. We're training people to farm in the dirt, but that doesn't mean they're limited to doing that. And every year we've had people come through that actually want to do hydroponics. But what we're training is sort of bigger than the kind of farming you're doing, because we're also going to have people who are raising livestock, and then we have people who are doing bees, or people who are doing other kind of stuff. I think we've had even an oyster farmer out with us, and here's why. That's the first training track, is the Veteran Farm Fellowship. 40 hours for the full year on the farm, working side by side with the farmer. The second training track is 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year. It's called the Veteran Farmer Reserve. And this one we created especially for folks who have an on-farm, who have a full-time job or are getting full-time medical treatment, but can carve out 1 weekend a month to train with us intensively. And this is the group, it usually meets the last weekend of the month, and we do 12, and there's 4 components to the training here. So we gather everybody together, we always have all 4 services, sometimes even the Coast Guard has some folks that show up, and we do have military spouses that are there. And we'll do 4 things. We'll do hands-on cultivation, so you get your hands in the dirt and you get to understand, working with the farmer, how it is that you grow food. We do farm field trips so that we expand the aperture of all the kinds of farming that are available to you, including hydroponics. There's a place called Bright Farms that's down in Culpeper that's run actually by 2 Afghan war vets. Kind of randomly, they both sort of, they didn't come to the job together, they both ended up at this place. And the same day that we do that, we'll go visit a bison farm, these giant wild animals. Then we'll go visit a farm that's doing bunnies and pheasants, and then we'll visit a farm that's doing organic vegetable CSA. So we do this about 6 times a year. We go on the road and we visit 3 or 4 farms. We want you to understand the reality of farming. The farmers are like #real talk about how much they invested, how much time they spend, if they're turning a profit or when they expect to turn a profit, the impact that it has on their family life, because farming is a whole family endeavor and it takes 100% of everybody's resources to do it. But that's why a lot of people want to do it, because after, especially if they were deployed a lot, they want their job to be on the farm, at home, with their family, growing something, building something that is creative and nourishing, as opposed to getting into a car and a tie every day and going off and having a different life and then coming home to something else. They want to use the VA loan that they're getting for their home to build their business, and so they'll buy their home with the land and then start farming on it, turn it into a home-based business. So that's what the farm field trips do. It builds your network of potential mentors. It expands your ideas about what's possible, and it gives you a really good actual reality check on what to expect from farming. I do have people that come in and think they're going to make $250,000 a year. Like, no, you're not going to do that. But there's lots of other things that you're going to do that you will enjoy. So then the third piece of what we do is called Farm 101. It's basically your butt in a chair, everything that a farmer has between their ears and what they have to know when they're out there, some stuff that they're doing at their desk, whatever they're planning or reading or thinking about. The academics of farming, we train in that, and my farm trainer is actually the first farmer that Arcadia had, who is now a distiller, but it continues to be our farm trainer, and he came from the farm school where he specialized in training beginning farmers. So we've got a great staff for this. And then finally, and the most important piece, and I think one that will resonate with everyone in this room, is we have an incredible CPA and tax attorney who specializes in agricultural operations, who flies in 4 times a year and does intensive training. Everything from how to assess the land from a tax standpoint, all the way to how to set up your chart of accounts in QuickBooks and what kind of corporation you want to be. Labor law. It's a vitally important part because farms tend not to fail on the lack of being able to grow anything, but really on the quality of the business and how agile a business person the farmer is. And so that's really what we focus on, and we want you to hit the ground running, know how to do your business plan, know where you're going to get your capital, know how much land you actually need, and what you can realistically work given the product that you're going to be raising. And so those are the 2 first pieces that we do. This year we just introduced another piece which is really exciting, and this is our Veteran Farm Incubator, and this is what you were talking about. So as I said, we're just outside the gates of Fort Belvoir, and you can see it when you drive by. We've got a lot of land out there. We're on the property of Woodlawn Pope Leahy. There's 126 acres, and we've got free reign over about 56 of them. So we're only growing vegetables on 4 acres. So there's lots of room to spread out. So we have created a Veteran Farm Incubator. We have land. The hardest thing for new farmers to get is land, because you don't just need land, you need good land, and then you need power, and you need water, and you need access to markets, and you need roads, and you need a greenhouse, and you need an irrigation system, and we have all that. So we have a Veteran Farm Incubator on our property. It just got started. We have 2 of our 2017 graduates on it now. They'll be on it for at least the next 2 years, and we're adding 2 more plots next February with folks who are in the program now, and they're all applying for that right now, and they're uploading their business plans and their crop plans. And they have dedicated to them a wash station where they can wash any veggies that they're growing, which is important to bring down the core temperatures of it, which extends its shelf life. They have a greenhouse where they can grow their seedlings. They have dedicated power from solar panels that we have installed for them. They have a walk-in cooler where they can keep everything, and they have they're a dedicated irrigation system so that they are independent farms on our farm, and they pay us rent. And we give them technical advice. They can work with us on the farm if they want to talk to us about everything that they're doing. That's totally fine as long as they're helping us out. If they want one-on-one consultation that's taking us away from their work, they pay us a pretty modest but still a consulting fee because we want them to be independent. And the promise that we make them is that their first year of growing, if their produce meets our market standards, we will buy it from them and we will move it through our system. And we have lots of places that we can put it into, which includes our Veteran Farmer Training Weekends, which I do all the cooking for, and I'm going to be heading into doing that. 20 people, 3 meals, 2 days. It's a lot of food. And we have school programs, as I said, a lot of beets get eaten on our programs. And we also have our mobile market. And this is what I started to talk about before. When I came back from covering the wars, I became, I spent a lot of time visiting folks at Walter Reed. And as you guys know, the signature injury of the war, the signature visible injury of that war is lower limb amputation from IEDs. And so that was my frame of reference. When I started working with Arcadia, the final piece of what we do, which I began to talk about before, which is our food access. We harvest all of the food that we grow, we aggregate it with food from other local farms, really good quality food, and we take it into neighborhoods that don't have ready access to good quality food at convenient locations at affordable prices. And we set up, between May and November, 10 regular weekly farmers markets that supply a complete diet at lower than market prices, or lower than other farmers market prices. And we do that 5 days a week for about 26 weeks during the year. And we are the sole source of food in most of these neighborhoods for that period because there are simply no grocery stores and nobody's, Peapod's not delivering there, and our customers tend to be lower income, so they don't really have the credit cards or the credit that they need in order to do that. So this is our mobile market program, which is very cool. But the first time I went out on the mobile market program, I saw an awful lot of people who were missing lower limbs, and I thought from my experience at Walter Reed that these must be war veterans. And I came to learn that they are not, that they are victims of diabetes. And so I did a little digging into numbers, and I was shocked to learn that in the 15 years of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, there have been about 2,000 people that have undergone an amputation from their injuries in the war. in the United States in any given year, it's 70,000 diabetic amputations. So we are just chopping off parts of Americans' bodies because we cannot be bothered to get people really good quality food that they can afford in convenient locations so that they can actually eat it. So that's what our mobile markets do, and that's what the food that we will buy from the veterans on the incubator will mostly go into our mobile markets and into making sure that everybody gets the good stuff. So our veteran farmer program is open for applications right now. I tell you, you have very good chances. Our fellowship is closed. We are in the process of interviewing our fellows right now, and we'll be selecting them soon. But the reserve program is open. We have the largest class ever is coming in. There are about 34 people who have signed up. We'll shed a few of them through natural attrition between now and then. And I expect that we will end the year with about 20 people completing the program of coming every month and doing the work in between. You get, obviously, all the food, which I cook, and it's delicious. You also get a host of textbooks. You get, obviously, this incredible training from Poppy and projects to do and homework to do. It is tuition-based, but we do have lots and lots of scholarships. Boeing is one of our big supporters, and they basically designate half of the money that they give us to go to cover scholarships. So anybody that couldn't attend because they didn't have the money to attend, we can usually work it out. So that's the Veteran Farmer Program. And